Let's do this. Hello. Oh. But anyway, well, I meant to do this at 10, which is hilarious. I thought I would be awake. I was not. I was not awake. I woke up at 11:50.
Fart dance.
And I had this weird moment where I was like, oh my God, I missed work. Like I'm 2 hours late for work. And then I realized, oh, I'm a streamer now. I'm good. Novalux, thank you for the 10 months. But yeah, you know that sensation of like when you wake up, you look at your phone, you're like, because this has happened to me many times. And I had a panic, and then I was like, you know what? It's all good. Okay, these people know me. These people know me. They know that I'm not a woman of my word. Mom, I can't wait to see you too. I'm gonna VIP you. Oh my God, I have to log into Twitch. Fuck off. Fuck off with that. I know, I'm Caroline Kwan. I'm my baby. Come here. Come here. Oh! Look who I got. I got the tiny boy. Yeah, so Farley and I flew a red-eye flight. It was gnarly, but we made it. I know, and we were so tired yesterday, and so I guess last night, I don't know, I took a sleeping pill. I don't know why, because I was so tired anyway, but I took a sleeping pill, and that's why I think I woke up close to noon. Hell yeah, brother. Where's Will? Will is in LA. He's getting ready to go to Japan with the boys. Not this boy. Is Farley okay with flying? I mean, he's probably better than Cutie Cinderella, but he's not great. He gets scared. He gets scared. Yeah, pretty low bar. Yeah, exactly. But he was a good boy. So we got in yesterday at like, you guys, I have not taken a red eye.
3.
I look so, my eyes are like bloodshot. Pizza, thank you for the 7 months. Why do we always mention us on your chat? I don't know. You weirdos. God. So we got in around 7, took a red eye. I just feel like there's no good time to fly to the Midwest or the East Coast. Because it's a 4-hour flight to Chicago. It's like a 5 to 6 hour flight to New York, plus a 2 to 3 hour time. There's just no good time. You just lose the day, right? So I decided to take a red eye because I thought, this is not my room, by the way. I thought that I would get in, take a little nap, and then have the full day to stream. And that was my plan until my parents entered the picture. And I say all this with complete love, but it was actually like, it was like a comedy sketch almost. Every single time I would sit down and like pull my stuff up, start, percolating what I'm gonna do for stream. I was looking at the news, was looking at, starting to pull stuff together. My parent, like one or both of my parents would walk up with just the most random thing. Like my dad literally put a guitar down in front of me. Like my dad comes out with a guitar and puts it on my lap as I'm on my iPad. And he goes, "Do you still play?" And it's like, I don't know. I could probably play Teardrops on my guitar or something. And then my mom with the piano. And then both of them just random questions, random comments. It was hilarious. but I literally could not get anything done. And then the dogs were barking. Dogs were barking. So it was insane. Like I would pick up my stuff and go to another part of the room, just be like, okay, everyone, thanks. And then everybody would follow me over. And I finally was like, okay, I'm just going to take today and hang and chill out. Yeah, they're happy to have me home. And I'm super happy to be home too. I was looking at the weekend, and tomorrow I have my sister's graduation party, and then Sunday is Father's Day. So I was like, I wasn't going to stream today because I didn't think I'd be able to squeeze it in. But then yesterday it was like the game of 100 questions and comments. So I was like, I'm just going to do a morning stream before I head downtown to meet up with friends. Oh, you want to know the other thing? My dad showed me how he watches my stream. Let me show you. I posted it on my Instagram story, so if you don't follow me on Instagram, what are you doing? But he brings me into the basement to show me this gigantic screen that he has set up and pulls up one of my streams. I don't even know if you can tell the size of this screen, but it's the biggest screen I've ever seen in my life. It's huge. Yeah, this is how he pulled up my stream. And I was sitting there and I was like, I do not need to see my face that large. First of all, it's adorable. I love the support. Thank you. That's so sweet. But oh my God, please get my face off the screen right now. Yeah. The 4D Quan experience for reals. Does my dad want to come on the stream? Well, I was going to have my parents on the stream last night, and then that just didn't happen. My dad is making like the world's largest chocolate chip cookies. I saw him setting out the dough for each cookie, and they're like this large.
Watching in the IMAX theater.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on in there. It's probably for the graduation party, or I don't know. Giants. Ninja, thank you for the 9 months. So my dad is in there. I could bring him in later to say hello. What else? What other things do I have to tell you all? It's always interesting to do a morning stream like this. And I say morning because it's morning in Los Angeles. Have I talked about the Conor McGregor news? No, I saw that briefly, but I didn't get time to read all the stories I wanted to read because of my loving parents. Because of my amazing parents who had a lot of thoughts. The other thing with my mom is that when she first mentioned Ashton Kutcher coming on my stream, she only referred to him as Ashton. No last name. She was like, hey, I was thinking you should have Ashton on your stream. And I was like, Ashton? Like, who do I know? Who do we know that's Ashton on a first name basis? And I was like, who is Ashton? She goes, Kutcher. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Are we on a first name basis? Are we on a first name basis with Ashton Kutcher that we just call him Ash? Ashton. Excuse me. Are we at, unless we're at Ash. Yeah, seriously, like keep up. What's wrong with me? But I looked at her, I was like, do you know him? She goes, no, but I'm sure that I could get a hold of him. It's like, what? Do they know other streamers? My dad knows Will, of course, Austin, Cutie Cinderella, and Hassan, and Maybe Gina Darling? I don't know. Maybe from like Will's G4 days. Listen, my mic is fucked up. I also forgot. I forgot my headphones and I'm pissed. I'm so pissed. So this is gonna be scuffed, as always, on the mobile setup. The mobile setup, always scuffed. Well, I don't have my headphones, which sucks. So I'm gonna have to mess around with the volume when we play some videos. Dad didn't watch OTK collabs. I think he did. I don't think he knew, I don't think he knows them by name though. He pretty much watches me and then Will. That's who he watches. What do I think of the projector TV setup? It was too large. I don't ever need to see my face that big. Has anyone famous ever slid into my DMs? No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm trying to think. Not like DMs. Will Neff. Yeah. My friend thinks S-Fan is actually called Hassan. How? I have been getting a lot of text messages from Gavin Newsom though. And every time it pops up as maybe Gavin Newsom, and I'm like, this bitch is not texting me again, is he? He is desperate. Also, does stealing my parking spot count? No. But that was funny as hell. Oh my god. Okay, so just a couple things. Next week, I want you guys to mark your calendars. So reminder, Tuesday at 6 Pacific time, I'll be back in LA. I'm having that conversation with Senator Dave Kohler, who's an Illinois senator. And we are going to be talking about this law that he sponsored to protect children who are social media stars. So we're going to have a conversation on that. And then Wednesday, I am working with Brett, who filmed our WGA strike stream a couple weeks ago. So I reached out to him to see if he wants to help me next Wednesday, because there is a big WGA strike rally and march. So there's going to be a lot of speakers. There's going to be live music. All of the writers will be gathering in one place. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to stream. And especially because the stream I did with Hassan and Adam was like almost a month ago. So it'd be good to do an update, right? Like get the people involved again and see, and especially on this event, because so many writers are going to be gathering. It's not picket lines. It's a gigantic, it's like it's a rally, and then it's going to be a march. So yeah, anyway, so I'm working on that, but I just wanted to tell you guys, because this weekend is probably going to be pretty chalked. Today I'm heading downtown. I see Quan, I click and it's on. Love that. I am heading downtown this afternoon. And then tomorrow I will be on a commission. Sunday I'm going to try to do a cooking stream. BFF, thank you for the 400 bits. Yeah, Ashton's coming on next week. What am I doing downtown? Do you want to leave? I don't know what you want. You want to stay in here, or you want to come? You want to go up there? Here. You want to go out here? Get your food? Or do you want in here? I don't know. Yeah, Farley's with me. Bubba's, I don't know what to do. Okay. What am I getting up to downtown? I am gonna be meeting some friends of mine and then seeing my sisters later. It's always stressful going back to your hometown, especially when it's a city like Chicago, which is very large. Thank you for those 100 bits. I thought your background was not real. It looks so perfect. Yeah, this is my dad's office. But it's always stressful, especially like because I don't come home that often. And when I do come home, I'm usually in the suburbs spending time with my parents. So it's always one of those, I'm like, okay, back in the day, I used to get stressed out and be like, oh my God, I have to individually text everyone, meet up with everyone. And now I just will either post something on my Instagram story and be like, yo, coming home to Chicago. I'll be at these places, like, if you want to hang. Because otherwise it's just too much, you know? You just got to tell people, I'm going to be here. Love to see you if you want to come. Bye. Yeah, it's like having to make appearances and hoping you line everyone up. Totally. Yeah. It's too much. And of course, you know, when I haven't been home in a while, I know that the visits are always going to be, they're going to be heavy duty, right? A lot of catching up. So I'm like, I basically have, today is my only day to go into the city. Illinois banned book banning. Yes, they did. Yep. Illinois is the first state to ban book banning. And I was saying, like, now I'm sure Florida's going to come back and be like, oh yeah, well, we raised your ban on book bans, another ban. So we're going to ban your ban on book bans. Is my dad into politics like me? Yes and no. I am definitely very progressive. And very passionately progressive. I think my parents in their retired age are just kind of chilling now. He's not rich. No, this office makes him look rich. My dad is not rich. He's not conservative. No, my parents are Democrats. You want to see what book my streaming laptop is on? This is the biggest Bible I've ever seen. I think this is the original Bible. You know what I'm gonna do? I think my new content is just going to be scripture. Also, my dad is an atheist. I don't know why he has this book. I don't know, maybe because it's part of the collection of books that he has. But yeah, from now on, you heathens, I will simply be reading scripture in stream. Is there another Bible streamer? I don't think so. It's a niche. So I'll be doing two things. I'll be talking about Hollywood, since that's my niche, and I will be reading from the Bible. It's a new meta. Psalm 69. Nice try. This one has pictures. Dang Sauce, thank you for the 6 months. This Bible has photos. This is nice. Oh. This is lovely. So people just read this for fun. This can't be a religious stream. You aren't forcing us to spend money yet. Listen, I am gonna force you guys to spend money because I don't know what this freaking Twitch update thing is. I saw a lot of people freaking out about it. I don't know. What do we think? Good or bad? This thing literally weighs 50 pounds. 50 pounds. Yeah, if you want to enter the kingdom of heaven, it's 100 gifted subs. I don't make the rules. I'm just a messenger of God. Bad for small streamers. Okay, so it seems as if you have to have 350... No spoilers on the book. I won't. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's a good one. You should definitely read it. So you need to have 350 subs that are not gifted or prime. So individual subs. Which again sucks for small streamers, right? It does seem as if, okay, here's what I'll say. Listen, I shit on Twitch all the time. Bro, it unfollowed me from you. Bro, what the fuck? That was, are we blaming Twitch on that? Okay, dude. Okay, dude. Yeah, here's the thing. I'm streaming in the morning now, so my morning peeps are gonna be popping in. Nicholas, are you going to Paris or no? We gotta figure this shit out. Okay, you're going. All right. Let's run a train. Excusez-moi? Qu'est-ce que c'est? Qu'est-ce que c'est run a train? Dexter was like, oh my God, everyone. Listen, Nick, he's confused with his words. He speaks too many languages that he gets them all confused. Anonymous Gifter, thank you for the 6 months. Oh, wow. 6 months of a tier 1? Wow, I didn't even realize that. Okay, well, Nick just hit the lottery. You know, thank you for helping him out with that. He has no money. Oh my God, well, he gifted himself. Oh my God. Oh boy. All right, I cannot believe TwitchCon is so fucking soon. Mr. Sarcastic, thank you for the 10 months. What the hell? This is actually stressful. 1, 2, it's in exactly 3 weeks. I don't understand how these mofos are going to Japan today and tomorrow, and they're planning on going to Paris. I'm like, when are you guys gonna plan this? I mean, there is no plan. It actually stresses me out so much, though. I am planning to go to TwitchCon Paris. Oui. Casper, thank you for the 3 months. And Will said he was not going to go, and now a couple days ago he was like, everyone is bullying me into going, and I'm like, okay, well, it's a week after you get back from Japan, so I gotta get on this shit. Did Hassan gaslight him?
You need to travel
Probably.
with them.
I think what happened was is that March, and everyone was like, no, we're all going to Paris, and they're doing Japan. And Will knows I really want to go to Paris TwitchCon. And I said to him, I was like, it would be really nice if, you know, if you came, because then we could take a little vacay. We could, you know, spend a couple of days. This is what I said to him, okay? I was like, we could go to Italy for a couple of days and just have like alone time. And he was like, okay. And then an hour later, he goes, Austin might want to go to, what did he say? He goes, Austin might want to go to Mykonos. So like, we should all go to Mykonos. And I was like, okay, that would be fun. But what happened to like the couple days of alone time with just the two of us? That's what I meant. I was referring to just you and I. It is June. It is Pride Month. I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm so rude and homophobic. Just the two of us and Austin. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for my homophobia. I'm working on it. Yep. You could make it if you try. Listen, I love Austin, and I definitely would love to go with the group to like Mykonos and see everyone just let loose. See Austin with like Greek twinks. Yeah, for sure. For sure. But I was also like, well, it would be nice to have, you know, a couple days of just us in Italy or something. Because I told him, I was like, it is so hard to find. It's so hard to have time to do stuff together, just the two of us, that has nothing to do with streaming. And that does not involve other people. You know, there's just always people around. It's a hard balance. It is. Would Hassan go to Mykonos? Fuck no. I guarantee you if we were to be like, do you want to come to Mykonos? He'd be like, oh, dude. No, I gotta stream. Donald Trump's probably gonna be indicted for something else. Yeah. He would probably like find something problematic about Greece anyway. Yeah. Okay, well, let's see how much time I have. I have about an hour. So I wanted to do a little bit of news coverage. We got some stories going on. What mic am I using? This dented piece of shit. I'm so pissed I do not have my headphones. That sucks butt. Okay, I thought I had something else to say before. Okay. All right, let me see what stuff I got. It is really nice streaming at this time. I'm going to be honest. I do love it. Why are all blue Yetis dented? Because we throw them in anger. This is nice. I wasn't sure if people would show up. My dad was like, is your community going to be awake? I was like, I mean, people live all over the country. It's not as if we all are on the same sleep schedule. NMP is losing his job if I stream in the morning. Yeah, it's definitely a rare Quan sighting for sure. For sure. And my East Coast people probably love it because they don't have to be up so fucking late. My EU peeps. Yeah. It's kind of nice. I just don't know if I would be able to make this a thing. Have I heard that I did everything right and they indicted me? Yes, I did. Does feel nice. Yeah. Plus, like, I like the vibe of the morning and covering news and other stuff in the morning. Because it just feels, I don't know, feels like the day is just starting, you know? You're getting your news consumption in. I like this. But again, I genuinely do not know how I would do this in LA. Because I'm 2 hours ahead now. Like I said, I didn't wake up till almost noon, which would have been 10 o'clock in LA. I missed the last 2 streams. Did we ever watch the Comedy Actress Roundtable? No comment. No commento. All right, so here's a couple. I don't really want to cover that much today because I don't have that much time. And I also don't like doing giant streams on the mobile setup because it's scuffed as hell. But I want to talk about what the hell is going on with killer whales, because not only is every labor in the United States of America unionizing, but now it appears as if the killer whales are unionizing, which we love this for them, okay? Killer whales are unionized. They are organizing. Yes, excuse me. I missed that very easy pun, okay? The orcas are organizing and they are attacking yachts. Eat the rich, am I right? You know what I'm saying? The orcas are going all in on eat the rich. Two-based. Yeah, so we'll look at what's going on there. I also want to talk about, two-time Oscar-winning actress Glenda Jackson, who might be a name that many of you do not know, but you should know who this bad bitch is. She was a fucking legend, and most famously, she took on Margaret Thatcher, okay? And was like, I don't think so. So Glenda Jackson had this incredible career where she won the Triple Crown of Acting, which is Oscar, Tony, Emmy. And then she had a political career for 23 years. She was part of the Labour Party in the UK. And she like was one of the loudest critics of the Iraq War. She took on Tony Blair. She took on Margie Thatcher. Didn't get the Grammy. No, she probably could have, but unfortunately she died at age 87. So she's a bad bitch, and she passed away yesterday. It was like yesterday or the day before. So we're going to talk about her, and we're going to watch this very iconic speech where she rails against Margaret Thatcher and Thatcherism. Pray rest in peace. And then what else do I want to talk about? Let me pull up the YouTube. Let's see. Let's see what we got. And then I want to talk about kids. I think that's what I want to do. Yeah. So we're not going to cover a lot of things today. But I want to talk about this. Yeah. We're going to talk about children. The problem with pissing on Margaret Thatcher's grave is eventually you run out of piss. That is true. All right. So we're going to see how this goes. Because I've got some YouTube vids that I want to play. But I don't have my headphones, and the sound is very scuffed. So we'll try to make this work. Oh, wait. Look how cute. He's so tiny. He's so sleepy. I love that someone earlier was like, well, your dad is rich, so he must be a conservative. I was like, wrong and wrong. What's up, No Rain? Any Bluetooth buds around? Nope. Nothing. Nope. It's fine. It'll work out. It's fine. We're just gonna do it. Whatevs. All right, let's start off with. Let's start with killer whales. Why are killer whales drowning yachts? The mobile setup. Okay. All right, we're gonna start with this. Did I raw dog the flight? Yeah. It was hell. It was absolute hell because I could not sleep. Why am I in Chicago? It is my sister's graduation party, so I decided to come in and see all my family. And then also it's Father's Day weekend, so I was like, great. 2 birds, 1 stone, you feel? Okay. So, Leslie, thank you for the 5 months. Casper, thank you for the 3 months of Prime. You guys, sorry if I miss your subs or resubs. It's really hard for me to tell on the mobile setup. Dank Sauce, thank you for the 6 months. Okay.
Fart wave.
Mute the desktop audio and play speakers so there's no double audio. I don't have here. Let's try this out and see how this sounds.
A small group of orcas is
Oh wait, I gotta change this to React. Reactorson. Oh my god. Hold on. Okay. Dude, I get why Hassan does not like traveling because he really, not having access to the desktop to do news and shit is the worst. Okay, wait. What is going on? Am I frozen? Or no? No? Okay. Why is this? I have this pulled up on my iPad and it's. Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. Matthias, thank you so much for the 7 months. All right, let's try this sound. See if it's like excruciatingly loud.
causing a lot of damage to boats off the Iberian Peninsula, raising questions about why the orcas are doing it. Stephanie Tsai looked into it and has this report.
In the middle of the night last October, Artur Napolião.
Okay, is that good for you guys? Maybe a little bit louder? Let's see. All good. Okay, I'll turn it up a little bit louder. All right, yeah. Okay, let's try this again.
Was sailing miles off the coast of Portugal to deliver a boat to a client. As a professional skipper and sail instructor, it's a journey he's taken many times before.
At 4 o'clock a.m., it was my turn to go sleep. So I went down, I start taking my nap, and 30 minutes later, boom.
He ran up to the deck to find the boat surrounded by a pod of orcas.
They messed around for 5 minutes, and then they went to another boat, more far away from me, like 1-2 miles.
But the pod returned, not once, but 3 times, the visit spanning over several hours, well after sunrise.
I got really scared until I see the orcas and see their movements and how gentle they were when I stopped the boat.
In the past 3 years, hundreds of boat and orca interactions have been reported off the coasts of Portugal, Spain, and Morocco. According to the Spanish research group GTOA, in 2022, there were 207 reported interactions in the Strait of Gibraltar alone. The strait is a narrow waterway that separates Spain and Morocco, and the meetings are not always gentle. Just last month, killer whales surrounding a boat sailing through the Strait of Gibraltar were met with loud noises, an attempt by the crew to scare them off. The pod rammed the boat continuously for over an hour, managing to remove the rudder. With seawater gushing into the boat, the experienced crew of 4 issued a mayday call and were eventually towed to shore unharmed. In another recent instance off the coast of Spain, 3 orcas repeatedly struck a yacht, causing it to sink entirely after Spanish Coast Guards rescued the crew on board.
We have we are having 1 incident every day in average. Okay.
One incident every day is insane. Like, there is absolutely something going on here. That is wild. 1 incident every day where orcas are organizing to attack and take down yachts. So we'll talk about this, but one of the theories is that the orcas are attacking the yachts because of past trauma, which as a human being, I'm like, I totally get that. PTSD, say less, right? So that's one of the theories, is that because of past trauma of boats, harming orcas and their homes, which is the ocean, they are responding to that. So I don't know. We'll see.
Days that we have 2 or 3.
To better track these events, Rui Alves started this website last year to log orca encounters. It connects a network of sailors who share geographic locations of sightings and attacks along the Spanish and Portuguese coasts. This map shows incidents reported just this month.
So for me, it was the idea, if you spread the word about something that happens in an area, people will avoid that area. Maybe they will keep the boat and say, I don't sail today because there are many orcas at that point. I will sail tomorrow. Or maybe I will go in other direction.
Orcas living near the Iberian Peninsula are a distinct subpopulation and a critically endangered one. But why these orcas are repeatedly damaging boats is something experts are trying to understand. One theory making the rounds, revenge. Some scientists believe an orca named White Gladys suffered a traumatic injury from a boat and may be teaching other orcas how to attack similar vessels. But Monica Whelan Shields, director of the Orca Behavior Institute, says that kind of activity would be uncharacteristic of the animals she studies. Play is a more likely explanation, she says.
It's just not something that we've seen for whatever reason. They're the top predator in the ocean. They're capable of attacking and killing, all kinds of species that are around them, but they have never targeted that talent or that, predator-like behavior towards humans.
Despite this,
maybe they say, fuck around and find out. Okay?
Killer whale.
Humans have been treating the ocean like they're garbage cans for too long. So the orcas are saying, not on our watch. Okay, we have no choice but to stand White. We have no choice but to stand Gladys. Yeah, 100% true. Insanity Dojo, thank you for the 7 months. The times they are a-changin'.
Nickname, orcas are the largest species in the dolphin family, and no humans have yet to report major injuries from the boat confrontations. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Stephanie Sy.
Whoa! Big raid! What's up, everybody? Hello, hello, hello. Thank you, Graham.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's a rare Quan day stream. Yeah, I'm like a vampire who's come out of the coffin. What's up, everyone? We're just doing a little bit of news here. Nothing too crazy. Okay, so let's, oh shit, I forgot my iPad is not connected to my laptop. So, okay. All right. This is a stately room. Yes, this is my father's office. I was telling everyone that the book that my laptop is on right now is the Holy Bible. I will be reading scripture later. But welcome in. We're just doing a little bit of news here before I have to head downtown. So we're talking about what's happening with orcas. Why are they organizing? They have been stepping up their attacks on yachts along Europe's Iberian coast, which I said the orcas are joining the Eat the Rich, but, you know, doing it literally. So the orcas, too, are getting better at the way that they attack. And they are attacking now every single day. And marine scientists have characterized hundreds of encounters between boats and orcas that have sunk at least 3 vessels and damaged dozens of others over the years. They were calling it a fad, implying that the animals would lose interest and resort to more typical behavior. But that is not true. And in fact, what they're seeing is that the orcas are only organizing more to attack yachts. Because we've had enough, okay? All right, we got the writers in Hollywood. We've got the hotel workers about to go on the biggest hotel strike in 50 years. Okay, we've got UPS gearing up for a gigantic strike. And the orcas said, us too. We've had enough. We've had enough of these fucking yachts taking up our ocean, okay, treating it like it's trash. They want the billionaires to pay the fish. Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine a Bernie Sanders orca? That there's like the one of the lead orcas is like this old Jewish orca. Borka. Oh my God, I'm fucking dying. I'm dying imagining Borka. Oh. Hassan watched a documentary on orcas that talks about how they're self-aware. Orcas are geniuses. They are so smart. They are the scariest mofos in the ocean, right? Like, they come around and the other animals give them a path. So according to a June 2022 study published in the journal Marine Mammal Science, orcas have stepped up the frequency of their interactions with sailing vessels in and around the Strait of Gibraltar, which is the busy waterway that links the Mediterranean Sea with the Atlantic Ocean. So some researchers think that this is just playful behavior. I don't think so. That orcas like the feel of a boat's rudder. No, I'm a marine scientist, but I'm going to disagree with that. What we think, so according to one marine scientist, they say what we think is that they're asking to have the propeller in the face. So when they encounter a sailboat that isn't running its engine, they get kind of frustrated, and that's why they break the rudder. I don't think so. There are other ones who believe that the encounters are a response to past trauma. So there have been, since 2020, there have been more than 500 encounters between yachts and orcas in this area. In the video, they talked about White Gladys, who is a female orca who they believe is leading this group of around 40 orcas. So Gladys is our Bernie Sanders, right? Is organizing these orcas. And researchers believe that Gladys may have had a traumatizing encounter with a boat or a fishing net. So she is seeking revenge and teaching her pod mates how to carry out revenge attacks with her encouragement. They're anarchists. They're anorchists. Yeah. The organizing orcas are anorchists. So the orcas are absolutely doing this on purpose, though the origin and motivation are unclear. But defensive behavior based on trauma as the origin of all this gains more strength every day. So every single day, researchers more so are believing that the reason for the organizing is due to the orcas are pissed off at the yachts. So orcas are believed to be capable of complex emotions like revenge because they are very, very smart. And so it's possible that they are reacting in the way that a human would react, in that it is an emotional, calculated response. Are they open to negotiations? No, the orcas have said absolutely not. They're like, the time for negotiations is over. Orcahist. Now is the time for action. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, when...
Okay, wait, how much time do I have? 1:17. All right, let's watch this video.
In the world of
this last little video on orcas, and then we're going to move on to Glenda Jackson. Okay.
Animal-human interaction, we've been hearing a lot in the last 3 weeks or so about orcas or killer whales that have been sinking yachts off the coast of Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. In just the past few days, there have been over 20 attacks resulting in damaged vehicles and the killer whales scattering as soon as rescue boats arrive. These animals have been turning up in huge numbers, and it is believed that they're teaching these attack tactics to others of their species, and they're ganging up to inflict physical damage on these yachts. Since the pandemic, in fact, the total number of killer whale attacks in this region on fast-moving sailboats, fishing boats, and yachts is now over 130, as recorded by over 5.
I just gotta say too, orcas are so cool looking. Like they look so sick. The drip is unreal.
100 reports of these incidents. Experts are not yet fully clear on why exactly these animals are behaving this way. There are 3 to 4 common theories that are very interesting and also quite insightful. These animals, which are dolphins by the way, not whales despite their name, are the geniuses of the sea. They are extremely intelligent, they have highly developed social and communication systems, and they seem to love humans. Whatever their intent might be, there is no record ever of a killer whale in the wild having fatally harmed a human, although there have been threatening attacks and even revenge attacks. On the other hand, there are ample reports of them having a truly good time with humans during one-on-one interactions. They love playing with humans, they are very curious, and at the end of the day, these amazing animals are basically the golden retrievers of the ocean when they're around humans. New scientific discoveries about their brains and brain structure are extremely interesting, and their social structures are so incredibly complex that we might be highly underestimating their intelligence. Killer whales are the largest of the dolphins, and they are found across all the seas in the world. They prefer to be near coastal environments, and there are about 4 or so subtypes or even subspecies of killer whales, although they are all the same species of orca. Worldwide, we think there are at least 50,000 individuals and maybe hopefully more. Killer whales are apex predator, which means that
I love how researchers keep saying killer whales love humans, that, this is not, there's no way that these attacks are coming from a place of wanting to harm humans because they love us so much. I'm like, maybe they don't anymore. Okay? Maybe we fucked around too much. Or maybe these orcas have been playing the long game. Yeah, maybe these orcas have been pretending for years and years, for decades and decades, that they love humans. Okay? And so us dummy humans are like, these orcas would never attack us. They love us. They think we're great. And it's like, and this is how we're going to get wiped out by an alien species, okay? All right? Because we just think that everyone thinks they're so great.
They have no natural predators and they often even feed on other mammals in the ocean. They typically feed on fish, sometimes even birds, including large birds like penguins. They hunt in groups that are called pods and they have highly sophisticated and coordinated hunting tactics. Sometimes they use this skill and their intelligence to take down animals that are much larger than themselves, including both baby whales and adult whales. In 2019, killer whales killed blue whales on 3 different occasions. In fact, we even had a video about that. These highly intelligent animals have social behaviors that have various levels of emotionally complex aspects to them. They are very playful. Older adults teach youngsters techniques, learn by observing other animals and other orcas, and these animals also interact with members of other species. They have
so
complex
amazing.
social bonds with each other as well. In fact, they live in a system that is as complex as those exhibited by elephants or apes. Killer whales are used very frequently in sea shows around the world, especially in the US, for entertainment. Trainers who work with them report that they hardly ever have to take any effort to train these animals. They learn new tricks very, very quickly and they can pick up stuff fast by observing other animals doing these behaviors. They have a complex language as well, and killer whales from geographically separated pods actually have dialects or accents. Many of these killer whales or orcas that grow up in captivity or especially
These killer whales have accents. I'm just imagining one of these whales actually having a Bernie Sanders, like, East Coast. Okay, everybody. Like, just having the most, like, East Coast old Jewish man accent. And then there's one who comes in and he's got like a Cockney accent. Well, I don't know why I almost just said top of the morning. That's Irish. Hello, everybody. It's me, Thomas. Oh, Farley just started growling. You don't like Thomas the orca from you don't like Thomas the orca from the rural UK? Okay. All right, babies. I won't do that anymore.
isolation end up having personality disorders, including exhibiting self-destructive behaviors or attacking trainers. This is once again similar to dogs, where dogs start to display such behaviors when they are extremely bored or highly anxious or have too much pent-up energy that doesn't get released regularly. For many of us millennials out there, Free Willy is likely to be a childhood favorite movie. The movie showed a bit about how smart these killer whales actually are, and the existence of these movies shows how trainable these animals are. So these friendly animals do not attack humans and in fact seem to like the company of humans and playing with us. So why are they now attacking boats? There seem to be many theories that are being proposed by experts, with 3 or 4 big ones. One is the case of the Gladys injury that takes us back to 2020. There are 3 killer whales in this region that are involved in these yacht attacks. These are named White Gladys, Black Gladys, and Grey Gladys.
Okay,
White Gladys is the oldest female.
Black Gladys, that name goes hard. Black Gladys, Grey Gladys, and White Gladys. It's like how Gandalf rolled around. Gandalf the White, Gandalf the Grey, Gandalf the Black did not exist.
Female, and a theory is that she was once attacked or injured by a fast-moving boat, or she was just traumatized by a bunch of boats. So she retaliated and started sinking fast-moving boats and then taught this behavior to others. These 3 Gladyses were most commonly involved in attacks in 2020. And now, 3 years later, it looks like half the orca population in this region is attacking fast-moving boats. These are mainly yachts that are getting physically damaged, especially on the rudder. Some of these boats and ships are disabled because the animals damage these rudders and prevent them from moving, just like stopping a tail fin prevents fish and these mammals from swimming. Some of these yachts are in fact sunk around Spain, Portugal, and Morocco by these animals. Another theory is that the orcas are doing it for revenge. We have known stories from during whaling times 50 to 100 years ago about killer whales chasing and attacking humans who have killed other members of their group or pod.
Yeah.
It is possible that maybe a mother orca or killer whale was killed and the others from the pod, especially the kids, are now retaliating in revenge.
Bro, they got an orca mafia, okay? And the whole thing is that they do not forget. All right? You wrong my family. We do not forget. It may take years, but we will get our revenge. Like, these orcas are not fucking around, okay? They do not forgive. They do not forget.
It is also possible that these animals live in such a stressful environment that maybe after the relative month or so of calm in April of 2020, they started reacting negatively to ocean and maritime traffic from May of 2020. The other popular and seemingly the most likely practical theory is that these killer whales are just playing. They are always curious, they have always been curious, and they love to interact with humans. Whenever killer whales are around humans, they always make it a point to approach humans. There are tons and tons of user videos on YouTube where killer whales are playfully chasing a boat and leaping and bounding behind it, or are just swimming beside people who are paddling. So this behavior is most likely just an extension of that play, and they aren't really doing anything to the humans involved at all. In fact, these killer whales, despite harming the boats, are still playful with the humans. Killer whales have what behavioral ecologists call animal culture, which is the ability of animals to learn behaviors and vocalizations from social and cultural learning. That is, by communicating vocally from adult to younglings, or by observation and imitation,
so cool, dude.
and by transmitting local behaviors down generations, which are not found in other members of the same species elsewhere geographically. So killer whales learning playful behaviors like this tend to spread them across. And if they continue doing that across other groups, this would become risky to them. These animals have now learned that it is the rudder that makes these yachts and sailboats move, so they go for it directly.
Gladys just jealous that yacht has a bigger rudder than her.
Playfully damaging it. This increases their safety risk in oceans and is particularly bad for a region like the Strait of Gibraltar, which sees such high traffic at all times. The authorities now have limited maritime traffic here in response, but this event unfolding here is one of these large-scale interactions between our species and another. And over time, we are learning a lot in the process about the intelligence of these animals and also how to cohabit with them peacefully in the future.
Yo, they about to send the popo after the orcas. What animal of the sea, what creature of the sea would be the popo? I mean, you would think it'd be the orcas because they're black and white. Who's the thin blue line in the ocean? The dolphins. Yeah, as much as I love dolphins, they do murder their own and also commit a lot of sexual violence. So sounds like ops. Oh boy. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. It's 100% dolphins. Yeah, listen. They are the sex pests of the oceans. Okay. The thin blue line. Oh my God. The thin blue line is incredible. Okay, we are going to move on. We're going to talk about Glenda Jackson. Yo. So, have I ever seen The Drunken History of Dolphins? I have not. From Gladys to Glenda, two bad bitches. Two bad bitches. Okay, so Glenda Jackson died yesterday after a short illness. You might not know her, but you should know her because she really was such an enigma. She was one of the only, really, when I look at the history of like actors turned politicians, she might be the only actor turned politician who was not a fucking conservative, right? And in fact, she was the opposite. So Glenda Jackson won the Triple Crown of Acting. She won 2 Oscars. She won a Tony or 2, and she won Emmys. And she also had a political career for 23 years. She worked for, she represented the Labour Party in the UK. She personally detested Margaret Thatcher, which is super based. And she always fought for human rights. She fought for, what are you looking for? You need help? Are you looking for the Bible? Because my laptop is on it. Yeah, anyway. So she fought for human rights. She fought for socialism. She was badass. And she also was a woman who started out in Hollywood in the 50s. So she was big in the 50s and the 60s. And she got a reputation for being very difficult, which we always know when a woman gets a reputation for being difficult in Hollywood, it usually means that she is somebody who gives no fucks, right? Especially depending on the time period in Hollywood. And because she was an actress in the 50s and 60s, it even further confirms the fact that Glenda Jackson had no fucks to give, right? And she was given a difficult reputation because she would push back on directors. She would push back on her male actors. She was like the queen of no filter, but not in a way that we say no filter today, but in a way where she did not care what anyone thought of her. She was there to work. She was there to, breathe life into everything that she did. And she did. She was an incredible actress. She brought such a... She played characters who were so emotionally wrought, very tormented, very vulnerable. She was so iconic too, because after 23 years of being in office, her first role back, she comes back to the Old Vic Theatre in the UK, and she plays King Lear in King Lear, which is considered one of the most difficult Shakespeare plays. And Glenda Jackson, a woman, played the title role in King Lear. And she was just awesome. She was amazing. But people were very scared of her. My favorite thing about Glenda Jackson is this is what she said. This is what she said the day of Margaret Thatcher's funeral. Okay, I am telling you, there was no one else in history who took on Margaret Thatcher the way that Glenda Jackson did. This is what she said the day of her funeral in 2013. The first prime minister of female gender? Okay, but a woman? Not on my terms. That is what Glenda Jackson said the day that Margaret Thatcher died at her funeral. You gotta love her. She was a bitter opponent of, Margaret Thatcher, but she also fell out with Tony Blair when Tony Blair took Britain to war in Iraq. And you guys have to remember that back in the day, back during this time period when countries were considering going to war with Iraq, namely the United States of America and the UK, there were not a lot of outspoken critics, right? It was something that was very popular because we were all fucking lied to, right? But the few people who were critics of the war in Iraq were very loud voices because there were so few of them. And it's something where today, a lot of politicians kind of try to hide their record on the war. And it really is very telling of which politicians have always been based when you look at what they were saying about the war in Iraq. And Glenda Jackson forever and ever was one of the loudest critics of the war, and to the point that she fell out with Tony Blair, who they got along before, and then because of him sending Britain to war, she was like, I don't think so. All right, so we're just gonna watch a couple things on Glenda Jackson in particular. We're gonna watch this Stephen Colbert interview, and then she delivers this speech when she was in Parliament, where she just rips Margaret Thatcher apart. Woman, and she had this thunderous voice, and she had the ability, even though she had this really tiny body, very tiny frame, the fury in her voice, and it would start small and then grow into this like just thunderous anger. It was a sight to see, both on stage, both on screen, and in her years as a politician. Mackin, thank you for the 4 months. Honestly, how remarkable that she left a very formidable career, right? Like, this woman has won multiple awards of the highest caliber, and it wasn't as if her career had died out. She just was so sick and tired of Britain being destroyed and, the government working only for the wealthy, that she thought to herself, I need to become a politician so that I can jump in this fight and like bring down Margaret Thatcher, basically. Our politicians of that they should be humbled to be representatives of the people, right? And politics in America, also in the UK and also all over the world, but we'll talk about America because this is where we live. Politics has become just this pomp and circumstance, like just it's another form of Hollywood, right? It's just all about celebrity. It's all about money. And these people have been in office for so long, some of them have been, and I guess have forgotten that we are the ones who elected them, right? That their title is public servant, that they are there to represent us, and they should be humbled that people went out to vote for them. And this was something that Glenda Jackson, in her 23 years of working in politics, never forgot. It was the same way that she treated her career in Hollywood. She did not like the glitz. She did not want to, she did not want to be seen as a celebrity. She did not like celebrity culture. And she did not like when politicians forgot that they were first and foremost public servants who should feel humble that the people elected them. Famously, Glenda Jackson did not attend both of the Oscars where she won Academy Awards. Her Oscars for years and years sat up in her attic collecting dust. She did not wear, she didn't wear fancy clothes. She didn't drive a fancy car. She didn't live in a fancy house. She just completely rejected all aspects of wealth and celebrity life that would have come along with both her acting career in Hollywood and being a politician. She kept it real. Now let's watch
Mr. Deputy.
So this is a speech that she delivered days after Thatcher's death. So like I said, the day of Margaret Thatcher's funeral in 2013, like the literal day that this woman died, Glenda Jackson said, Margaret Thatcher, sure, she was the first prime minister of a female gender, but a woman not on my terms. Because of how, because of just Thatcherism and the way that Margaret Thatcher ran the country of Britain into the ground by deindustrializing, by having policies that hurt poor people and women. Oh, what's up, Jaina? So here's a speech that she gave just days after Margaret Thatcher died.
Mr. Speaker, when I made my maiden speech, all in this chamber, a little over 2 decades ago, Margaret Thatcher had been elevated to the other place. But Thatcherism was still wreaking, as it had wreaked for the previous decade, the most heinous social, economic and spiritual damage upon this country, upon my constituency and my constituents. Our local hospitals were running on empty. Patients were staying on trolleys in corridors. I tremble to think what the death rate for pensioners would have been this winter if that version of Thatcherism had been fully up and running this year. Our schools, parents, teachers, governors, even pupils seem to spend an inordinate amount of time fundraising in order to be able to provide basic materials such as paper and pencils. The plaster on our classroom walls were kept in place by pupils' artwork and miles of sellotape. Our school libraries were dominated by empty shelves, very few books, and those books that were there, again, were being held together by the ubiquitous sellotape and offcuts from teachers' wallpaper used to bind those volumes so that they could at least hang together. But by far, the most dramatic and heinous demonstration of Thatcherism was certainly not only in London, but across the whole country in metropolitan areas, where every single shop doorway, every single night, became the bedroom, the living room, the bathroom for the homeless. They grew in their thousands. And many of those homeless people had been thrown out onto the streets from the closure of the long-term mental hospitals. We were told it was called care in the community. What in effect it was no care at all in the community. I was interested to hear about Baroness Thatcher's willingness to invite those who had nowhere to go for Christmas. It's a pity she didn't start building more and more social houses after she entered into the right to buy. So perhaps there would have been fewer homeless people.
Listen to these fucking bozos in the background. Oh, hey, wait a minute. What are you? What the disrespect?
Than there were. As a friend of mine said, during her era, London became a city Hogarth would have recognised.
Oh, is the camera frozen? Okay, one sec. Hold on. Shit. Wow, I look like I'm having a great time. Who's talking? Okay. That does not what? Oh, there we go. Why does the interrogation lighting look insane?
Indeed, he would. But the basis to Thatcherism, and this is where I come to the spiritual part of what I regard as a desperately wrong track that Thatcherism took this country into.
Wait, why do I look so tiny now? My God. So annoying. Stupid mobile setup. Stupid.
Is that we were told that everything I had been taught to regard as a
Oh no, the evil alerts are back. Oh my gosh, Mackin, thank you so much for the 10. The evil alerts are back. Holy shit. Oh, the scuffed mobile setup. Oh, you gotta love it. Leftist audio, leftist setup, leftist alerts. It's all so scuffed. Mackin, thank you so much for that 10. I appreciate you. Christ.
Vice, and I still regard them as vices. Under Thatcherism was in fact a virtue. greed, selfishness, no care for the weaker, sharp elbows, sharp knees. They were the way forward. We've heard much over and will continue to hear over the next week of the barriers that were broken down.
Sub, sorry, I'm on the mobile setup. It's really, I'm trying to go through this and see everything. Thank you for that sub to Daystreamer. I am a Daystreamer now.
The establishment that was destroyed.
We can't take it.
What we actually saw, the word that has been circling around with stars around it, is that she created an aspirational society. It aspired for things. As indeed one of the former prime ministers, who himself had been elevated to the House of Lords, spoke about selling off the family silver, and people knowing under those years the price of everything and the value of nothing. What concerns me is that I am beginning to see possibly the re-emergence of that total traducing of what I regard as being the basis spiritual nature of this country, where we do care about society, where we do believe in communities, where we do not leave people to walk by on the other side. That isn't happening now. And if we go back to the heyday of that era, I think we will see replicated yet again the extraordinary human damage that we as a nation have suffered from, the talent that has been totally wasted because of the inability to genuinely see the individual value of every single human being. My honourable friend from Hackney referred to the fact that although she had differed with Lady Thatcher in her policies, she felt duty-bound to come to pay tribute to the first woman Prime Minister this country had produced. I am a generation who was raised by women. The men had all gone to war to defend our freedoms. They didn't just run a government, they ran a country. And the women that I knew who raised me and millions of people like me who ran our factories and our businesses, put out the fires when the bombs dropped, they would not have recognized their definition of womanliness as being incorporated an iconic model of Margaret Thatcher, to pay tribute to the first Prime Minister deputed by female gender. Okay, but a woman not on my terms.
Point of order.
Oi, oi, oi! Look at all these people so pissed off. So pissed off at Glenda Jackson speaking the truth, right? Like they just could not handle. You can't handle the truth. What's up, Nandre?
Mr. Tony Baldry. Mr. Speaker,
But yeah, I mean, Margaret Thatcher straight up destroyed Britain. Like that is not hyperbole to say. It took years and years after her death to finally get unemployment back to pre-Thatcher, back to the pre-Thatcher years. It took almost 10 years after she died to get unemployment to where it was before she took over Great Britain. Glenda Jackson is truly an unbothered legend. She was amazing.
British actor Glenda.
So if you're just tuning in, we have been talking about Glenda Jackson, who is a 2-time Academy Award winner. She's very, very revered on both the stage and screen. She had a very storied career as an actress, won Tonys, Oscars, Emmys, and then decided to run for office and be a part of the Labour Party in the UK. So she was a member of Parliament. She did run for mayor at one point and did not win. But I would say one of her most notable legacies was her very outspoken criticism of Margaret Thatcher, as we just saw in that speech that she gave. So last little thing we're going to watch here on her. This is quality such ass.
Jackson has died at the age of 87. The two-time Oscar winner had a 23-year second act as a member of British Parliament. She later returned to the stage, winning a Tony in 2018 for her role in Three Tall Women. Jeffrey Brown sat down with Jackson that year to talk about both of her remarkable careers. As we mark her passing, here's a look back at that conversation.
Rumble thy belly full! Spit fire! Spout rain!
It was quite a return. After 23 years away from the theatre, Glenda Jackson took to the stage of London's Old Vic in 2016 in Shakespeare's King Lear, playing Lear.
I will say nothing.
That's one of the endearing things about the theatre. I can put it into a kind of immediate context. You work with people, you may not see them for decades. You bump into them in the street and it's as though you've just walked out of the same coffee bar. You know, there's no time gap.
Now 82, Jackson is back on Broadway for the first time since 1988, starring with Laurie Metcalf and Alison Pill in Edward Albee's Three Tall Women. It's a play about memory and aging that appealed to Jackson partly because of its strong female roles, something she says is a rarity. We talked recently at the famed Sardi's restaurant in Times Square.
It has been my experience ever since I first walked onto a stage and got paid for it, that contemporary dramatists find women really, really boring. We are never, or hardly ever, the kind of dramatic engine of what they're writing.
Why do you think that's been the case?
You're a man, you tell me. Why do men, who are in the main still, the majority of contemporary dramatists, find us so boring? They just don't seem to think that being a woman is either interesting or dramatic or challenging or dangerous or any of the things that any woman in the world knows our lives can and not infrequently are.
And has this been a problem for you in your career in finding roles?
Well, of course it's a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's a problem that doesn't seem to have changed. That is bemusing to me because it hasn't shifted in all the years that I was in the theatre and now I'm back in it.
It's hard to imagine anyone finding Glenda Jackson boring. Beginning in the 1960s, Jackson was a prominent presence on stage and screen on both sides of the Atlantic.
I could never love you.
She reached wide fame in the 1969 film Women in Love, for which she won her first Academy Award for Best Actress. Her performances, often playing strong, dynamic women, continued to win acclaim and awards, including 2 Emmys for the 1971 BBC series Elizabeth R.
I am an absolute princess.
Which aired on public television's Masterpiece Theatre. She won a second Oscar for the 1973 film A Touch of Class.
Mr. Speaker.
But in
Another thing about Glenda Jackson is that, I told you guys she earned herself a difficult reputation in Hollywood, which usually means that when a woman is called difficult, she's just a fucking badass. But Glenda Jackson was notorious for calling people out if she thought that they were lazy, if she thought that they were just phoning it in. So when she would be on set or in rehearsal for a show, and if she felt that her co-stars or, you know, people who were working on a project with her were not doing the work and were just phoning it in, she would call their asses out. Like, I cannot imagine Glenda Jackson taking a look at streamers on Twitch and the things that she would say to them.
In 1988, Jackson, a longtime critic of the government of conservative British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, left acting for what would become a decades-long political career as a Labour Party member of the British Parliament.
By far the most dramatic and heinous demonstration of Thatcherism was where every single shop doorway, every single night, became the bedroom, the living room, the bathroom for the homeless.
When you left acting, was it because you had done enough or
Good
had
heavens,
enough?
no. My country was being destroyed. Anything I could do that was legal to get Margaret Thatcher out and her government out, I was prepared to have a go at. And because everything I had been taught to regard as vices, she told me were virtues. Greed wasn't greed. It was a doughty independence. Selfishness wasn't selfishness. It was taking care of your immediate responsibilities.
Did you come to feel that you accomplished something meaningful as a politician? Was it...
Not as an individual, because the idea that you have individual power in that sense is actually not true. You have clear responsibilities towards your own constituents and your own constituency, and that was for me the most interesting part of it. But yes, we did make changes, but then of course along came the Iraq War and it all went like that, as far as I was concerned.
One issue she championed, women's rights in the home and workplace. I asked if she was surprised by the force of the Me Too movement now.
What surprises me is that people are surprised. I mean, in my country, for example, 2 women die every week at the hands of their partner, not infrequently male, usually invariably male. Every week. Now, that's not on the front pages of our newspapers every week. So this sudden, almost cataclysm of surprise, shock, horror, how could this have happened? I don't buy it. I mean, people are deluding themselves. I mean, we fail to acknowledge it, we fail to really work to eradicate it, and it takes more than just being shocked to eradicate it.
So for you personally, do you have any regrets about having taken the...
This journalist is so scared of her. He's so intimidated. She is wiping the floor with him and these questions.
time away for acting to be a politician?
Oh, no. I mean, it is an inordinate privilege to be a member of Parliament. Mm-hmm. I mean, people give you their trust, and they also give you what I regard as their most valuable right, in a sense, their vote. And that is a very humbling and privileged experience to have.
So now that you're back, do you plan to continue acting?
Well, I would hope to. Yeah, I mean, you know, yes, it's one of the things that have been and is at the moment very central and essential in my life. If the work is that exciting and daunting as I've been privileged to experience over the past couple of years.
For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Jeffrey Brown on Broadway in New York.
So that's Glenda Jackson. The other thing that I love about her is that she always talked about how she couldn't wait to be an old lady so she could just be even meaner. She's like, I cannot wait to be an old person to, one, dispel the myths about old people, right? To make it clear that society doesn't give a fuck about old people. And I am going to, you know, I'm just going to go on a rampage. She goes, I'm not going to go gently into that good night. Okay. I will not be quiet. I will not just, you know, retire and live off the rest of my days as an old person. She's one of the most badass people on the planet. I don't respect many people, but she has all mine. Yeah, she really was a force to be reckoned with. And I genuinely cannot think of anybody else who started off as an actor and then went into politics who actually was as based as Glenda Jackson was. Oh, my Tiny. What do you want, Tiny? Tiny, you keep coming in and out. Yes. Oh, Farley. Farls. So anyway, you guys, that is Glenda Jackson. Rest in peace to truly a badass bitch. Okay. May we all take some inspiration from her and live our lives fearlessly and be unafraid to be unafraid to just speak the truth, and in the thunderous way that Glenda Jackson did. You know, because like I said, she was a very small person. She was somebody who physically was not intimidating, but because of the way she spoke and the way that she could just decimate a person, she was, you know, she was 10 times the size that she was in that sense. R.I.P. Yeah, for reals. For reals. If I ever become actor turned politician, I'm just going to do exactly what Glenda did. All right, last thing that we are going to do.
Okay, so this is
this video.
Audio description
Oh, hang tight.
now available for this video. To hear the audio description
you,
track,
YouTube.
scripted.
All right. This better not be a fucking ad. Okay. All right. Last thing we're going to do on the stream is we're going to watch this video called Do I Want Kids? We're going to watch this because I was watching this last night, as I am at an age where not only do people ask me this question all the time, whether they are friends, whether they are family members, whether they are fucking strangers. This is something that I am constantly being faced with, not only from outside forces, but also from within myself. It's a question that, as I am now in my 30s and, you know, am faced with the realization that unfortunately biology and society are not matched up, right? In the sense that for me as a woman, I am hitting my stride finally in my 30s. I will only continue to hit my stride and to become, you know, more confident in myself and in my career. And at the same time, it's like tick tock on the biology clock when it comes to having children. And it's very stressful. And one of the things that I toy with is, will I regret not having kids more or less than regret having children, right? Which sounds so fucked up. There is adoption, of course, but I'm talking, I mean, you're still bringing a child into your life, right? So it's not just about having a kid biologically. It's about raising a child and forever altering your life. And so it's one of those things that I think a lot of millennials, a lot of Gen Zers who are looking at the future and wondering, do I want to have children, right? And I think we're in a really unique time where there are a lot of things to consider when having children that older generations did not necessarily consider, right? It's like, do I want to bring a child into this world with how frequent mass shootings are happening, with, you know, the fact that the climate is getting worse and worse. Like, there's just a lot of very, very real life, serious things to consider outside of just like the, can I afford having a child? Can I, you know, would I be a good parent? Those normal things. One thing is, it's exhausting, and the older you are, the harder it gets. Right. And that's the question. Like, do I have a kid in my 20s, or, you know, when I'm younger and have the energy, but then also, you know, then now I have a kid and it's harder to do things that you would do if you were childless. Otherwise, it's like, do I wait to have children until I'm later, or until I'm older? But then you get a Will situation, right? Where his father was 61 when Will was born. His mom was in her 40s. So there's a trade-off to both of these things. But anyway, let's watch this Vox video.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Cleo.
Okay, we're ready. How did you decide whether or not you wanted to have kids?
So it just started like a natural flower blooming in my mind that, okay, maybe children.
I grew up thinking I would become a mom because I didn't know that I could choose not to be.
I am so glad I don't have children.
I knew I was always going to have kids.
I decided to start thinking seriously about getting pregnant myself.
I've literally had people upset at the fact that I don't want to have children, but I'm like, how does that affect your life?
Especially like factoring in everything that's happening in the background, including climate change. Is this the kind of world that I want to bring my child into?
This is what we wanted. This was our goal, and we're here.
Whatever change you think your life is going to have in a significant way, multiply by like 99. Life blown up, completely gone.
The vast majority of Americans have kids.
I'm sorry, but that part made me laugh so hard last night. When she goes, life blown up, completely gone. And then the host goes, the vast majority of Americans. Like, that was funny as shit.
But the number of births in the US has been slowly creeping downward over the past few decades. I think I want to become a parent, and I'm lucky to be able to make that decision. To be honest, though, I still feel like there's so much that I don't know. So my question is, how do I decide if I really want to have kids?
I don't know. Flip a coin. Literally couldn't afford it in my 20s. True.
You know, it's really hard to separate out my desire to have kids versus the expectation to have kids. And if you don't believe that there's still an expectation of having children, just turn on a television.
So when are the kids coming? You gotta have a baby.
You gotta have one now.
People like pregnant.
Do you want to be a mother or not?
You regret it not having children.
There is this stigma if you don't have kids and you're clearly not as happy.
A lot of us have real questions about when and how and whether to become parents. So I'm gonna get some data. And why not start with that big assumption that kids make you happier?
Since about the 1960s, we've had pretty clear evidence that being a parent doesn't make you happier than not having children. Out of the 20 countries that we studied, the United States had the largest gap where parents report that they're significantly less happy than non-parents.
How do you ask survey questions that get at this?
We're not asking people, are you happy you had kids? We're asking people, are you happy? And just asking them to rate their own level of happiness.
It's not just the United States. We see the happiness gap in all of these countries too.
It's really a parental happiness deficit, and it doesn't occur everywhere. There are a few nation states where parenthood actually improves your average rated happiness. And
that's because the U.S. has the worst support for having kids. Yeah, I mean, it's so dumb that there is still pressure for people to have children, for women to have children, when it's like, why would we have children when there is no incentive to? Oh, because it will make us happier? That's not true, but nice try. Maybe start off with universal childcare, maybe like make it easier for parents to have children, and then more people will think about having kids. I think the other thing too is that it's hard to measure. And it might be easier for parents. It might be easier for parents who are filling out a survey or something like this versus being interviewed for a video. But I think people with children are hesitant, and I totally understand this, right? To say that they regret having kids because one, it's not that they would regret having kids because their children are assholes. I mean, some kids are assholes. But regret in the sense of the financial hole that it put them into that just is impossible to get out of. Regret in the sense that, they're bringing kids into a world where there's just so many problems and they're looking at the future for these children. But I think a lot of people with children would hesitate to actually admit that they do regret having kids for reasons that I just explained. And I get that because one, you wouldn't want your kids to ever find out. Like, can you imagine if your your parents said I regretted having kids, you wouldn't see it as anything other than a personal attack on you. I'd be like, oh, my parents think I'm the worst. This shows me it's a policy problem. It's of course it's a policy problem. Yeah.
Some of those countries have extremely low fertility rates. That's telling you that people who do decide to have children are unusually attached to kids and want kids very badly. Now, we do have some LGBT couples in the data, but they differ in size across all of these nations, and some nation states did not even ask about the gender of your partners. We're just beginning to understand the dynamics and whether they're similar or different from heterosexual couples.
Does the happiness gap differ depending on wealth, race, gender, or other demographics within the United States?
It really doesn't. We thought perhaps that the gap would be larger for single parents, and it is. We thought perhaps the gap would be larger for mothers than fathers, and it isn't. It grows when you take away the partnership and the stable employment. But once you control for those factors, it's fairly stable across race.
How do parents react, though, when you tell them about this data?
Oh, they hate it. Some of them don't believe it. I have to show them the data from one survey after another. But if we asked parents, have your children made you happy? They would all say yes. I would say yes. Everybody I know would say yes. But what their children have brought into their lives in many ways is anxiety, stress, and financial trouble that they would not have experienced.
Yeah.
Did you know about the happiness gap?
I did.
What's your take on how seriously we should take this data?
I might be a little biased because I've always been quite ambivalent about the idea of having children, but I think it's worth taking very seriously. There is a huge cultural myth that kids are going to bring nothing but joy to your life. And I think that leads a lot of parents going in with maybe the wrong expectation.
I gotta say, I look at this data and I think to myself, yikes. And then I think I probably still want kids. Like, it's such a weird...
Why?
I don't know.
If you think about it, our species has been around for 300,000 years. The ability to control female reproduction is about 60 years old. Cultural and economic liberation for women is still in progress. We are among the first generations of life on Earth, which is the only life that we know of in the universe, that can choose not to reproduce. To me, that's incredibly exciting. But the act of making that decision final, I still wish I had more time.
That's another part of this that I feel really anxious about.
Our biology does not keep up with our social progress. And that makes me so angry. Can I tell you, like, the cosmic injustice of this? That, like, just as you're starting to feel comfortable in your own skin, maybe you've started to build something, that's when you're slapped with this decision that, hey, you need to turn your life upside down right now, or you can't have a family. I mean, in the biological sense.
Maybe people with kids are this like crazy club of like unhappy people that want you to join them, but that sort of just discounts all the other parts.
I don't think it captures just like the fulfillment that you receive. I mean, I just love every moment. Like, she opens up her hands to hold her bottle. Like,
having a child, beautiful thing, beautiful feat. But I feel like there's just so much stress surrounding it, especially in this country. And I think that's the main issue of just like, I like the way things are right now, but with where things are now, I need to make a hard decision.
I think the other thing is that because of social media, people are afraid to actually be really honest about the downsides of having children and like the difficulties of raising and bringing kids into this world. I think it's something where we still are not being honest with one another, the way that we present these things on, places like Instagram, Facebook, et cetera, and it's why, I think it's important to have a conversation like this, to talk about something like having children in 2023, and not to present it in a way where one side is right and one side is wrong, but just be like, listen, let's cut the bullshit, okay? Let's not pretend one thing or another, right? But just be very open and honest about things. And so people who have kids or don't have kids don't feel misled, don't feel as if everybody else is doing things correctly and they are not, or that, you know, they're missing something. Americans approach these questions like, why should I pay for your kid?
I am a single mother of 4 daughters. There isn't anyone else coming to share that load with you. But these are the girls. These are my girls where if they saw me tear up, they would go fix up a sandwich and they'd be like, hey, do you want to eat something?
I was raised a girl. The world taught me that my needs mattered less than literally everyone around me. And so I think actually the best thing I can do for my family is to be happy. Sometimes that means when you get in the car and they're like, oh, can we listen to my music? You say, no, we're going to listen to my podcast. And they might whine, but it makes me way happier and way less resentful that I'm listening to Row Your Boat for the 80th time today. Like,
fuck them kids.
Scooch down towards me. Ready? All right. A lot of pressure here. This is a view of your uterus. Where? This whole thing here. It's kind of long, like an eggplant or a banana. For a woman who's never been pregnant, it's about the size of a bottle of nail polish. What we do is just take a look here, make sure everything looks pretty normal, which it does. Okay, we have plenty of great pictures.
Do I get to keep it like from a party?
Like a souvenir.
Wild. What do you feel like are the biggest misconceptions that you hear about the relationship between fertility and age?
That you have all the time in the world. With time, fertility does go down.
One of the best ways to see this is just the chance a person has of getting pregnant each month. Doctors call that fecundability.
Your mid to late 20s is actually when you're most fertile. It's about 15 to 25%. That can decrease to the mid 30s to about 10 to 15%. And unfortunately, over about age 42 to 44, it can be less than 2%.
One reason for this decline is the number of eggs that you have goes down as you age, egg quantity. But fertility is also about egg quality, or how many of those remaining eggs are chromosomally normal.
The vast majority of early miscarriage is actually due to chromosomal errors. A lot of people tend to think of children with Down syndrome or Turner syndrome, but those are the outliers.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we're gonna do a little visualization so that you can show us, for a person who can bear children, what percentage of their eggs are chromosomally normal on average as they get older. So blue is gonna be genetically normal eggs, and yellow is gonna be genetically abnormal. Okay, so this is 28, this is my age.
You have a really high chance of making a pregnancy or embryos with a normal number of chromosomes. But as you see, it's never going to be 0. So as you age to 33, there's a higher chance, maybe about 30 to 31% at this point. But around age 37 to 38, the chances of having a pregnancy with chromosomal abnormalities is almost 50%. That's a number that's very shocking to people. But, you know, as we advance in age over 42, the chance gets quite high. It's now over 80%. And so this contributes to why women in that age group may have a harder time getting pregnant and may unfortunately experience miscarriage much higher than they were when they were younger. Sometimes we're able to make generalizations based on your age, but the only way to know for sure is an evaluation of your own individual reproductive health.
What do you see as the most important disparities to talk about with respect to access to fertility care?
Cost is probably one of the biggest factors. One cycle of IVF can typically be about $15,000 to $20,000.
IVF isn't the only option, but all of the options aren't cheap and often not covered by insurance.
Something else is looking at the differences in outcomes based on race and ethnicity. There are studies that show women of color are referred to infertility specialists less frequently, and that may play into why they present later for care or with longer periods of infertility.
What can we do to reduce those disparities?
I think the first thing we have to do is acknowledge it. We all have implicit biases that govern how we conduct ourselves and how we react to different people in different situations. The patients that are visiting fertility clinics tend to be white, female, college educated, and wealthy because that's who can afford the treatment. And so one of the biggest things I personally would wish for is infertility evaluation and treatment to be covered by health insurance universally.
Wouldn't that be nice?
And we found out about the fertility benefits. We met those requirements to be able to enroll, and we got started with our IVF process. And here we are with this little one today.
I'm incredibly privileged in that it cost me literally $0 to get pregnant because of the particular biological realities of my relationship. We had sperm, egg, uterus between the two of us, but most transgender people need some help with some part of that.
As I got older, what I learned was that as a Black woman, I was at even more risk for complications and death after childbirth, and it didn't instill any confidence in me.
I recently helped my sister inject herself. She was freezing her eggs. That was just a very powerful moment.
I knew I was going to have kids. That was never an issue. The bigger thing was, what would you do strategically in order to make sure you could maximize your career, which was important for me.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome.
What are we doing here?
So, there's a lot of data that shows that the financial impact of having a child isn't born equally by men and women. So we're going to visualize that.
Okay.
Ready?
I think so.
I feel very cool.
We're like cave explorers.
Whoop. Let's do it.
This looks so tall.
A 2017 report from the U.S. Census Bureau shows the impact of having a child on men and women's earnings among married heterosexual couples.
Ready, Krista?
I'm scared.
The key chart looks something like this. The male and female spouse both start out at 0 the year the baby is born. It's a way to control for differences between men and women's earnings so that we see the effects of having kids more easily. In the first year after having a child, the mother's earnings take a big hit. The father's, not so much.
So, Christoph, this is year 1.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Huge hit.
The female spouse's earnings don't actually recover until the child is around 9 years old.
So essentially, at year 9, the mom's salary has reset to where it was.
Year 9.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
Year 18.
18.
Going up. Look at me climb the career ladder.
Though her earnings do increase as the child gets older, the gap between the two genders is still there by the time that kid is officially an adult. One huge factor here is unequal childcare responsibilities. According to the American Time Use Survey, on an average day, women spent more than double the amount of time providing physical care to children than men.
Yeah, I mean, so much of this makes sense thinking about my mom's career.
Yeah.
You know, she took off work until...
Even when women are the breadwinners in their family, they are still the primary caregivers because of gender roles in society. It's fucking bullshit. And you cannot believe that, you know, women are not only working full time, many of them being the main the breadwinner in the family, which that number has increased, but are still expected to be the primary caregiver. And it's insane that, like, I have friends who both them and their husband work, and yet my friend, who's, you know, they're all women, are the ones who still cook dinner. They are the ones who take care of the children. They are the ones who run everything, you know, do all the housework at home. And it's bullshit.
Till I was 6 or 7. It was great that she was able to do that, but it's a hard trade-off to have made.
Yeah. Christoph, one more thing.
Yeah?
Look down.
Okay.
Okay, now we're done. How was that?
You know, managed. A little sore. I feel like we could have printed that chart out, but it's fine.
I really wanted to know if there was like a good or a bad time to have kids. I really wanted someone to like time it perfectly for me, you know? Like, what's interesting is the data shows that for couples who have children under 25 or over 35, the female spouse takes an earnings hit, but actually does catch back up to the male partner.
Interesting.
But for the couples that have kids between 25 and 35, the female partner never catches up.
But it seems to sort of show that there is this core window, 25 to 35, where you are starting your career, setting yourself up for a successful life. And that's a hard window to have a kid.
The thing about that data, though, is that it's so wrapped up in socioeconomics and education that it's really hard to tell what it means.
Yeah.
Over the course of the last couple days, I've learned that the fertility data tells you that probably the safer choice to have kids on the earlier side, and the career data implies you might take less of a hit if you have kids later, which is a little frustrating.
This question of should you have kids or not is such a completely different question professionally for men than it is for women.
You were prioritizing being at home
and changed jobs to do that. That's true. Why was it you who made that choice and not Dad?
Well, it wasn't completely voluntary. You know, when I went back to work after Zoe, I basically was told, okay, you're on the mommy track now. I was young and very ambitious, and I just thought I could do everything, no matter what the environment. And that's turned out not to be true.
I'm really afraid of that.
Yeah, well, you can suss out your environment a bit. There were no women who were associates who had babies who had gone on to make partner. I should have learned from that.
I don't think that's fair to put on yourself. It really frustrates me that we position this as an individual choice. Like, the other option is your law firm could have supported you more.
Yes, and they were not prepared to do that.
You know, nobody that I've spoken to ever expected parenting to be easy.
So real quick, my aunt, when she was working at a big law firm back in the 80s, and my aunt got married young and had she had my cousin Lucas when she was only 25, and then my cousin Lauren came about 10 years later, but she pretty much tried to hide the fact that she had a kid, even though men who she worked with had children as well. But because she was a woman and because she was trying to make her way, you know, work her way up through this law firm, she wanted to hide the fact that she had a child because she knew that everybody would know she was the primary caregiver, because that's just how things fucking worked, and that they would have this idea that she was not going to be as committed to the career, you know, as committed to the firm.
Definitely.
Is there any research indicating that how much time the kids should spend with their birthing parent versus the non-birthing parent? I don't know enough about that.
I don't. But I keep thinking about this chart and where the United States falls, and I can't help but wonder if it has to be this hard. So my last question is just, what could we do to make it easier to be a parent in the United States? And one thing that we could do is make childcare more affordable. There's a new report that just came out that shows, as a percentage of women's full-time earnings, how much do women have to pay for childcare in each of these countries? So each stack of coins represents a woman's median full-time earnings in each place. And we're gonna take out coins to represent the amount of her earnings that she's gonna spend on childcare.
Okay.
All right, so I'm not gonna touch any of these, but I'm gonna take one out for Germany.
So you removed for Germany, but not for Chile, the Czech Republic, or Italy.
Yeah, for the most part, governments in these countries provide a lot of support.
Wow.
So now we've got all of these countries. Let's see what that looks like. 5 Korea, 6 Iceland, 7 Portugal. By the way, this is like $500 worth of things.
Yeah. 19. So it looks like for all of these countries, they are here spending, what, a quarter of their earnings, but that is still a significant chunk of money to be spending on childcare.
Right? That's a huge chunk, even in the middle of this chart.
Finland is already getting into territory that looks very different from Germany, so I'm scared to see what happens.
So the United States is here among a small group of countries where women spend more than a third of their full-time earnings on childcare.
That is very scary.
So this is Australia.
Whoa.
Let's get rid of all of that.
Should I do Canada?
Yeah, 34th. So there it is.
I'm trying to get a sense of why there's so much disparity across the board on this side from Germany to Italy. Like, what is it that countries on this end are not doing?
Denmark, for example, mandates that parents can't be charged more than 25% of the operating cost of childcare, and the government covers the rest.
Okay. Oh my God.
In Korea, they were very concerned about falling birth rates, and so they spend a lot of money on supporting parents, and one of the things that they do is they offer cash benefits.
Wow, so it sounds like parents there are incentivized to actually have kids.
Yeah. Given that finances are a really big part of the decision to have kids for a lot of people, it does seem like that decision would be less burdensome in a lot of these other countries than it would be for a lot of parents in the United States. I've gone through this whole journey learning about parental happiness data and fertility data and earnings data and having it help me as I'm making this decision. The truth is, I'm not going to be making this decision based on statistics. I'm going to be making this decision based on my own feelings and my own family and my own potential family. And one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about is I really, truly, over the course of my life, would love to do for another person what you did for me. And I would love to be the kind of mom to somebody that you were to me.
Girl now, she's 6 months old today.
And I would love to have the kind of relationship as an adult that you and I have now. And I just wanted you to know that.
Thank you, Cleo. That means a lot to me.
And it really is a big part of my decision making.
A walk down the street is torture, very slow, but also
I mean, that's the other thing, right? Is like some people who had great childhoods, who had a great upbringing, of course, that is affecting their idea on what it will be like having kids. But I think the saying of every child deserves a parent, but not every parent deserves a child is something that we should be saying more often, right? Every child deserves a parent, but not every parent deserves a child. Because there are frankly just a lot of people who really should not have kids. And we don't talk about
every single
that.
thing suddenly is incredibly interesting. There is a bug. Holy cow! Who knew that bug had so many legs?
Whenever you're ready. I think there are lots of ways to have kids in your life in meaningful ways that aren't being a parent, and that those ways are just as valuable, just as valid, if not more so.
Say auntie.
I always just tell people, if you don't really want to do it, don't. Do something else.
I feel this very deep calling to my work, and that's what I've chosen to dedicate my life to. I found it already. I don't need anything else.
Since I don't have children, I'm able to be there for my family in ways that I probably wouldn't be able to if I had children. And I take a lot of pride in that. There's so many things that can give you purpose, not just being a parent.
What's important to you? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want your life to look like?
Yeah, wave bye-bye to Zoe.
And then go do it.
How much is the UK?
Gaslight your sibs into having kids.
Wow. Sorry. Yeah, got it. This is not a story about the UK, but damn. I'm gonna get an ultrasound on camera.
No.
Yep.
That's cool.
Babies.
Oh, babies!
Speaking of children.
Hello, children! I didn't deliberately match the date of his, but I did, in fact, do that.
Yeah, I mean, this video did not get into everything. Did you talk about the short and long-term effects of pregnancy on the body? No, we didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about, like, you know, how Black women face 3 to 4 times the mortality rate. You know, there's a lot more when it comes to, you know, the physicality of having children, what it means when it comes to healthcare that we didn't cover. We also didn't talk this video focused mostly on people who are of a certain class, right? Who have white collar jobs, who really, it's the choice between focusing and continuing on in your career and then having a setback because you decide to have children, right? We didn't talk about the fact that women all over the world, especially those in poverty, wish that they could not have children, but they do not have access to birth control. They do not have access to abortion, right? And how so many women who are living in poverty do not want to have children, and yet, that's what happens, right? So there's a lot about the surrounding the conversation on children, and of course, we mentioned it many times, but did not get into the details of the fact that the United States is not set up for parents, right? It is not a place where parents have incentives, or where adults have incentives to have children. All right, y'all. So I gotta run. Just a quick little stream. Got in there. I was happy to get to talk with you all, though. Bada bing, bada boom. Sorry for the scuffed mobile setup, but it was good to see you all. At least it works still. Yeah. I'm gonna send you guys over to, let's see, I'm gonna send you guys to Emily. I think she's streaming. Nadas! My sis would finish her job at 4 and get home to take care of her home and kids. Yeah. That's many women. Oh my God, I have to log into Twitch. I hate this. Hold on. Hang tight. So I think I am going to try to be back on... I am going to try to be back Sunday to do a cooking stream, since a lot of my family will be here. Never watched your stream. Glad it was suggested. Hey, thanks. Listen, come back next time when I'm not on the scuffed setup. On the Quanmobile. But guys, thank you so much for showing up. Your support is amazing, truly. You are the reason that I keep doing this, and I will keep doing this. Thank you for truly everything, and I will see you hopefully on Sunday for a fun cooking stream. It is also Father's Day, so if that's something you celebrate, put it in your calendar. Do not forget. And have a great weekend. And I'll see you when I see you next. Hogan, thank you for the gifted sub to Chicago. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Mazel tov. All right, peeps. Sending you to Emily. Good night. Good night.